welcome back to the channel, guys. And before we get into this video, very quickly, I just wanted to say thank you guys so much for last week. To say I was floored by the amount of support the video got last week is an understatement. I couldn't believe it when I saw just how many people watched it. To say that that was my best video is again an understatement, because it certainly was. So I just wanted to thank you guys so much for all the support last week. It was crazy to me. I was freaking out a little bit, to be honest. I truly hope I can meet your expectations this week, and even with series that aren't Overlord in the future. But today we are here to talk about Overlord, and this episode was really good, actually. It had a lot of eye-opening things that we learned this week that really raised some questions I'm definitely going to bring up later in the video. But for now, let's just get into it and talk about Overlord Season 4, Episode 11 today. So our episode begins with the king just sitting in his, it looks like his personal chambers, reflecting on it as someone walks into the room. And the first words out of the king's mouth is, "Since my captor is here to see me, I assume the kingdom has fallen." And he would be right. The royal army is nowhere to be found, and Zenik is also nowhere to be found. R.I.P., by the way. And the king realizes that it's all over. We've lost. We can't do anything now. And he issues a command to have everyone try to evacuate the kingdom during the Veil of Night. This is probably their one and only chance to escape before they all get annihilated. So he orders all of them, even the person that came to see him. And he says, probably in his final issue as king, that I will stay here and I will meet with the captors of the kingdom as the last king of it. And that's how our episode opens. I kind of respect the king for doing that. Like, not trying to resist anymore. Like, knowing that it's over. It's done. We're done. It's over. And he's staying here and meeting his fate. I can kind of respect that a bit. And it's here we actually open, again, on a pretty funny scene, actually, with Elma and her faction getting all the members of the Eight Fingers together and waiting for an emissary from the Sorcerer Kingdom to come and take them away. Because they're still useful to the Sorcerer Kingdom. So they've decided to take them in so that when they annihilate the kingdom, they won't be swept up in it. And what was his name? Coco Doll? The way he acts, he might as well be called Cocoa Butter, am I right? But this guy's crazy. He's just sitting there like, why would you break me out of prison to bring me here? Like, I'm not so significant anymore. I have no meaning. And Elma says, it's because you're a part of us. We're a group together. And he's immediately on guard, like, wait a minute. No, why am I here? What's going on here? Why are you all so different? You're vastly different people. And it just goes to show you just how, like, fucked they've become mentally. Just how the situation has completely changed their perspective. They are unbelievably obedient to Ainz now. To the point where Coco Doll is shook. And it's here that Shaltir shows up. And it's here that once Shaltir's here, she gets straight down to business. Like, oh, what, you got 1,000 people here? Bring them all here right now. Bring all their stuff. I'm taking them away. Don't delay. We got stuff to do. Bring them here now. Coco Doll is just looking on like, yo, what is going on? My friends are vastly different now. And she teleports them all to a safe place and says, all of you stay here, you're going to be fine. And she addresses Coco Doll saying how, hey, you're one of the leaders, right? You need to come with me to Kyoko's room. And if I remember right, I probably butchered that name, by the way, but if I remember right, that's a horrifying thing to say. So I think Coco Doll's right to be screaming like, no, I don't want to go. Yo, help me, guys. Come on. As they all just look away and they're like, nothing we can do. And I love that after she drags him into the portal, they're all like, damn, we couldn't save Coco Doll after all. He won't die though, but let's consider this a baptism. As they all thank Ainz. And I'm just like, oh man. They've become so brainwashed, basically. And that's a quite funny scene we had in this episode. And it's here that we get into the real crux of our episode today, as we see Ainz' army approaching the kingdom with Ainz and Albedo overlooking them, getting prepared for the battle. And they know right away that if they're going to do something, now is the time to do it, before they get wiped out. Like, if they're going to make a move, it's going to be right now. And it's here that they get approached by Azuth, the leader of the Red Drops, as he annihilates all the Death Knights that are stationed around Ainz, and starts to get into a fight with Albedo. Now, the goal of our episode is information. They could easily take these people out, but they want information. That is the key to really winning a war, is information. If you have more information than your opponent, you are at a clear and utter disadvantage. And that is Ainz' goal in this episode. Information gathering. And during their fight, I guess you could say, Albedo is really just assessing him. Assessing Azuth to see what he's really made of, how tough he really is. She even comments multiple times that, oh, I could catch this guy, no problem. And she even says, like, does he think I don't realize what he's doing? Because he's clearly trying to lead her away from Ainz. He's clear as day trying to do that, and she realizes that. So she's kind of just toying with him. And when they start fighting, she even comments like, wow, he's so weak. He's so fragile. Clearly, she could beat him at any moment. But she's playing her part brilliantly. And as they're fighting, Ainz actually gets attacked by another person. Now, he has a really cool design. I'll be honest, he really does. His design is really dope. And he starts attacking Ainz with his weapons, actually. But they don't have any effect on him, obviously, because Ainz' physical resistance is through the roof to make up for the fact the skeletons are weak against physical attacks. And Ainz, the whole time, Ainz is clearly paying attention to his stats. He's looking at his essence, I guess you could say. I mean, literally life essence, but you know what I mean. And he's realizing that, yes, he has a lot of HP, but no MP at all, meaning that he is a warrior through and through. And once this guy realizes that his physical attacks aren't really doing anything, they introduce themselves. Ainz introduces himself as the Sorcerer King, and this unknown fighter introduces himself as Riku. Now, Ainz doesn't recognize the name, but he comments that there was a nameless warrior among the 13 heroes that was renowned for his platinum armor. And he's assuming that Riku is that warrior. And it's here, assessing his strengths, that Ainz makes a proposal that, why don't you become my subordinate? If you do, I might stop my attack on the kingdom. I don't mind doing that at all. But Riku absolutely refuses him immediately. Now, I forgot to mention this previously, but when Riku first showed up here, he enacted a barrier around their entire battlefield. And now this barrier stops teleportation. And it stops the passage of physical objects. So, honestly, against most people, this is like a perfect entrapment ability. Kind of like this is a one-on-one fight, no interruptions whatsoever. And I'm just, again, assessing the situation when all of a sudden he gets hit in the back by one of Riku's weapons, actually. Now, physical attacks don't work on Ainz, but knockback is different. And Ainz actually gets sent into the barrier. And he asks Riku, like, how physical attacks don't work on me. How did you just push me back right there? But Riku, of course, doesn't answer. He seems like a very quiet person. And he says, you cannot escape this barrier. Your only option here is to perish. And they start fighting with each other in earnest. Now, I definitely wouldn't say that he's pushing Ainz back, but he's putting up a pretty damn good fight. This whole time, like I said, this episode is about information. This whole time, Ainz is assessing him, seeing exactly what he can do. And he notes that everything is being controlled remotely. His weapons are being controlled remotely, and his armor is being controlled remotely, meaning that there's no one inside of the armor. He is somewhere else controlling this equipment. And Riku charges at Ainz again. But Ainz is able to knock him back with, blasting staff, which for a magic caster is an incredibly important item, because it allows him to be able to get distance from Riku. And he uses that time that he gets from that to summon a 10th level demon lord to fight Riku. And during this time, he's assessing him yet again. Noticing how he's level 90 actually, which is very high for a person in this world. And the fact that his weapons seem to have HP too. Along with him. His weapons have HP of their own. And he notes that when he knocked Riku back, his weapons actually went back with him. Think of it this way. They're kind of a part of him. They're attached to him. Think of it as he can send them out towards people, but imagine there's like a string around them that are attached to him. So yes, he can send them out, but they are essentially attached to him. That is a good and bad thing, honestly. He can use that to get distance on people, to fight from a distance, but they are attached to him at the end of the day. And it's here that Ainz takes note that I don't think at this point I'll be able to get any more information with him fighting against an undead. I personally need to communicate with him. So after he takes out the 10th level demon lord, Ainz actually summons an elemental skull, which, to be honest, he doesn't really do anything with. It appears just to be a show of strength. And Riku starts charging at him, and Ainz does something surprising. He bows. He throws his staff away and he bows to Riku, saying, "Listen to what I'm trying to tell you, dummy. Don't just try to kill me. Listen to me." And he says that this all started when the kingdom stole our food supply that we sent out to the Holy Kingdom. Now, they didn't show the Holy Kingdom in this. Like I said previously in my video, that's going to be a separate movie. But I could see this line actually confusing a lot of people, because they skipped over that part to get to this. Ainz has a whole thing with the Holy Kingdom, I've heard. I don't know it quite yet, but I kind of know little bits and pieces about the Holy Kingdom and what was involved there, and how he got them on his side. He was sending those supplies to the Holy Kingdom, where the other kingdom stole the supplies. Philip the dumbass, stole them. Now, Ainz in this situation is really trying to see where Riku's moral compass lies. He's trying to figure him out. He even says, like, was it wrong for me to try to help the kingdom? Huh? And Riku says, you took things too far, which Ainz counters and says, you only say that because it didn't happen to you. Again, he's trying to assess this person in front of him because he wants him to join him. He's trying to see his emotions in this situation. And Riku replies to him saying, the people in power should take more responsibility, and that he will protect this world no matter what. The world is in this situation because people abused their power. So it's up to him to protect this world. He says how, like I said, how everything began when they misused their powers, and the fact that he will not beg for forgiveness, but at the same time he has to protect the world, so he has to kill Ainz. And it's here that Albedo comes charging back in and intercepts him and pushes him back. Albedo is furious by the way he's been talking to Ainz, which you imagine she would be. And realizing that this fight is pretty hopeless against the both of them, Riku actually decides to leave because Ainz calls back Albedo, because that's not his goal to kill Riku. He doesn't want that. But before Riku leaves, Ainz makes one last request, saying, will you join me? Which Riku does not answer. And Ainz tells him that the Sorcerer Kingdom's doors will always be open to you. Please come visit me at some point, as he leaves. And it's here after the battle that Azuth meets up with Riku. Or should I say, Sua. Because it's revealed that Riku's real name is Sua, and he's actually a Dragon Lord. The world's strongest Dragon Lord, actually. And as you would expect, obviously, he's a giant dragon. And Azuth is kind of ashamed by his performance, because he could not hold Albedo back at all. He did his best to survive, even though Albedo was playing with him. And he apologizes to Sue, which he says, it's not your fault. You played your part well. And it's here that we come to Sue's real body as he's commenting to himself like, so this Albedo person was able to get through my barrier, but the Sorcerer King wasn't. And he starts thinking to himself, like, only wielders of a world item or casters of wild magic would be able to enter this barrier. So he starts thinking to himself, like, could this Albedo person be a player? And could the Sorcerer King be an NPC? Meaning that he knows about the existence of players. He calls them all evil. And Azuth asks him, like, how do you think how do you think this armor would fare against the Sorcerer King? And he just flat out tells him, like, you don't stand a chance. But he believes that he could end up beating Ainz. He even says, like, I think I could end up defeating him because my skill set works well against him. And it's here that he reveals that his Riku name was obviously made up. That he made that up to throw the Sorcerer King off, and he asks Azuth to help him remember the name. He's like, oh, help me remember my alias the next time I get into contact with this guy. And it's here that Suwa has a conversation with himself, really, thinking how maybe I should kill Azuth and give his armor to someone else, because he's not that strong, honestly. I should give it to someone who's more powerful and more obedient. And he actually mentions the name Riku, at least to me, telling that there is someone out there who's named Riku that is apparently a companion of his. And he thinks to himself, like, can I really beat the Sorcerer King? Like, he has resurrection magic, so I don't think I'll be able to take him out completely. And he ponders that idea. But it's here that we go back to Nazarick, and we get a very big reveal. And it's here as they get back to Nazarick that it's revealed that that was never Ainz to begin with. That was Pandora's actor the entire time. And it makes perfect sense, because if you pay attention throughout the episode, there's little bits of dialogue, like, at the beginning when they're first shown, and even towards the end of the fight, that are very telling that something isn't quite right here. Something's a bit different. So it makes perfect sense that it's Pandora's actor. And Ainz watched the entire battle, and he asked Pandora's actor, like, tell me exactly what you think of this Riku person. Tell me his words, his actions, and his emotions that he expressed. I want to know everything about him. And that's how our episode ends, actually. Like I said, this episode was all about information gathering. There was no reason to fight to begin with. He just wanted to assess what was out there, what threats were out there that could potentially oppose him. And if he could get them on his side, he wants to do so. Very smart, honestly. A person like Pandora's actor is unbelievably valuable in a position like this. So it makes me very curious what's going to happen next. This was a fantastic episode of Overlord. We're very fastly approaching the climax. I don't remember if this season's 12 or 13 episodes. I believe it's 12. So I think the climax is actually next week. So you guys in the comments, tell me what you think is going to happen. Obviously, they're probably going to take over the kingdom, but will that be it? I have a hard time believing that will be it. So I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts down below. And yeah, guys, I hope I lived up to your expectations this week too. I really do. Like I said, I was shocked last week. I was incredibly happy. So I hope I can do it again for you guys. But yeah, guys, until next time, I hope you have a great day, week, month, and year. And let's continue that Overlord greatness, baby. Hopefully you guys will check out my other series too that I do. I would actually love it if you guys would go check out the other series I do as well, because I put as much love into them as well. But until next time, guys, deuces, have a blessed day.